Today we're going to talk about the pathogenesis of influenza virus in our body. So before we start with the process, let's understand the basic structures of the virus. There are four things to understand about the influenza virus that will help us better understand the pathogenesis. It has 8 negative sense RNA segments. It has a protein coating called capsid. It has a lipid envelope, and it has two important proteins on the surface. Both one of them is hemagglutinin, and the other one is called neuraminidase. The influenza A virus can also be divided into subtypes based on these two proteins. There are 18 different hemagglutinin subtypes and 11 different neuraminidase subtypes. So they can basically be named anywhere from H1 through H18 and N1 through N11 respectively. So let's start with the pathogenesis of the influenza virus. This is a human cell. The organelles that I want to highlight is the nucleus, the DNA, and the tiny branches of sialic acid that are found on the surface of the cell. These branches are very small, but I've drawn them bigger for representative purposes. Also on the surface of virus, this is the hemagglutinin protein, and I've drawn it to look like a hand. So the process starts when the hemagglutinin protein present on the surface of the virus binds to and holds on to the sialic acid on our cell. Once bound to sialic acid, there are a lot of molecular steps that happen. To keep it simple, let's say that the virus is going to enter the cell by a process called endocytosis. Once the virus is inside the acyclic environment of the human cell, the virus empties out the contents in the cell. So you can see the RNA being spilled out in the cell. From there, the RNA reaches the nucleus of our cell and it starts replicating. They make many copies of the RNA, and the RNA copies also travel to the human ribosomes. So to simplify, the virus has basically taken over the cell's machinery and makes its own genetic material and proteins using the organelles available in the human cell. So this causes a very sharp decline in the human cell's normal job, and it is basically working day and night to multiply the genetic material for the virus. As you can see here, the proteins and genetic material from the virus have replicated and now they assemble on the surface of our cell. Once they do that, they basically bud off the cell surface. So let's take a closer look at the process of budding and exit of a daughter cell. So once all the viral RNA and the proteins have assembled together, they are ready to go infect the other cells, but they are still bound to the surface of our cell via the sialic acid and hemagglutinin bond. This is where the other important protein neuraminidase comes in. So the protein neuraminidase is going to help the daughter cell to nick off from the human cell. Therefore, I've drawn it like a scissor. So basically, H, hemagglutinin in hand, since it holds on to sialic acid, and neuraminidase N, which nicks off the daughter cell from the human cell. It's a good way to remember these two proteins. Once the daughter cell is free floating, it's going to go infect other human cells, and it's going to keep repeating this process over and over again. Another important topic I wanted to touch on is the symptoms that we experience when we get infected with the influenza virus. So to make it simple, we can divide the symptoms into respiratory symptoms and constitutional symptoms. So what is the real reason for these symptoms? So you can think about it as when the cell is working overtime for the virus and not performing its normal function that it's supposed to. Eventually, the cell is going to die off and lyse. The contents of the cells are going to leak, and that's going to cause inflammation in our body. So when more cells are dying and leaking their contents in the cells of our nose, that would lead to a runny nose. In lungs, it would lead to cough, and if the same thing happens in our throat, that would lead to sore throat. Not only that, but there are also some constitutional symptoms like fever and fatigue, which are common when we get infected with the virus, and that is because of the immune response. Our immune system is working very hard to get rid of the infection, and as a result, we see an increase in our body temperature. Since our immune system and cells are working overtime, we also see fatigue and we see body aches and chills.